Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another module. In today's module, we are going to be talking about lookalike audiences, something that I loved, then I hated, then I am kind of indifferent about these days. They have had quite the evolution over the last few years. In today's module, we're going to be talking about how to actually utilize them most effectively. So let's get into it. So ladies and gentlemen, lookalike audiences, the how-to, as well as the best ones you can create. Now in today's teaching, we're going to go over what is a lookalike audience, how to create a lookalike audience, best lookalike audiences, as well as how do we use a lookalike audience in our strategy. So what is a lookalike audience? Well, a lookalike audience is a way to reach new people who are likely to be interested in your business because they're similar to your best existing customers. Well, what does this actually mean? It's people that are similar to them. Maybe they follow the same sort of people. Maybe their For You pages look similar. And maybe they post similar things or have similar ages, friends, taste in music. The list really goes on and on. Then what Facebook will do is it will give you back a much bigger list with the people they deem a lookalike. All right. Now you also determine the size, right? The smaller the size or percentile, and I'll get into what that actually means, that you ask for, the more they will look alike. The more they will look like your current audience. Whereas the bigger the size, sort of the further away they will be. And that depends on, what you're trying to accomplish. And I'll run through that in just a second. Now let's hypothesize for a moment on how this is done, because this will kind of help you visualize what is most likely happening on the back end. Facebook is taking advantage of the classification machine learning algorithms. All right. Sounds fancy, but it's really not. They simply process all the data they have and the ones you provide in order to create these audiences. So what's most likely happening behind the scenes is that they are creating a decision tree, a very common way of solving classification problems. You've given Facebook a list of people that you want, and they also have databases of people that don't look like the people you want. So what they do is they feed this data to a decision tree algorithm that spawns a tree, just like this one. Now the tree has decision nodes and leaf nodes. On each decision node, there's a question that is binary, either yes or no. If it is a yes, you go right. If it's a no, you go left. And whenever you reach a leaf node, a classification happens. Now in this case, the classification belongs to the lookalike or doesn't belong to the lookalike. This is a very simple example of a decision tree. Now you can see that there are actually 3 decision nodes and 4 leaf nodes. Now on the leaf nodes, a decision is taken, fit or unfit. Now Facebook will put the profiles in their data to go through this tree and classify people whether they look alike or they don't. Now this is obviously an oversimplification of what is going on. These algorithms have much more complexity, and you can add, for example, weights to the nodes or even having non-binary answers to visit more dimensions. Now I won't go in more depth on this topic, but I hope this was useful to visualize and understand a little bit of what is going on behind the scenes. So ladies and gentlemen, how do we actually create a lookalike audience? Now let's run through that. To create a lookalike audience, you go to All Tools and then you go to Audiences. Now there's 2 types of lookalike audiences we can create. Now you can either create them from the purchases on the pixel, which is value paste, or you can create them from another audience. So ladies and gentlemen, now let's actually go ahead and follow this video on how to create a lookalike audience. So you're going to create a new audience, a lookalike audience, and you're actually going to select your lookalike source. In this case, it will be a pixel. Then you are going to select an event with a value. All right. So in this case, it's purchase, right? And that's recommended. Or you can actually use a different event. So you don't only need to spawn lookalike audiences off of purchases because, let's say you don't have enough purchases in order to do that. Then what you're going to do is you're actually going to go ahead and you're going to select a location. And, kind of going on the last point, choosing an event with no value. You can also choose engagers and you can create a lookalike audience off of that, etc., etc. So you can see right here, we're going to create one of United Kingdom as well as United States, and you can choose basically the audience size, and that's a percentile of sort of how accurate the match is. So obviously the larger you go, the less accurate it'll be, but the more size you'll have. So let's say, for example, you're not getting much data back off of the lookalike audience, then you can actually go ahead and you can actually kind of open the spectrum or the affinity, I would say, to sort of how accurate they are. And you can see right here, created the lookalike audience, and you can actually create multiple at the same time, and it gives you that feature directly on there. Now, as you saw in the example right there, you can see with both UK and US, each % of the users actually corresponds to 3.1 million people. So if you select an audience that has a 2% gap, it will actually have 6.2 million people, and so on. So to make this clear, even an audience that is from 9 to 10%, because the gap is still 1%, it will give you an additional 3.1 million people. Now, the furthest the percentage from 0, the less alike the audience will be. Basically, as I said, the less affinity it has, the more you actually expand the percentage. Now, here's actually a video on how to create audiences and lookalike audience, I should say, from other custom audiences. Now, we've already gone through custom audiences, so you should know how to do this. But as you can see right here, you are gonna actually go ahead and select the source, or sort of the input, and then you're gonna select the location, right? So wherever you wanna put it, up to you. And as I said, you can actually bundle a few locations together, and then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna select it as a percentile. And obviously, the more you make it, the more you expand it, the more people it will give, as I just kind of explained a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. And that's how you actually go ahead and create lookalike audiences from other custom audiences that we've already previously created. Also, in terms of naming conventions, after you've created them, they'll have a fixed name that has a lookalike, then the countries which they spawned from, in this case, the abbreviations from Great Britain as well as United States. And after that, there is a source, in this case, the pixel, and the event used, which was purchases. Now, when you're creating a lookalike audience, remember that you can only use value-based events, which means they have some sort of value, right? So for example, add to cart has value, and the value will be the items added to the cart. Now, if you want to use an event that doesn't have a value, you can create a custom audience for it and then create a lookalike from that custom audience. All right. So very important. You can still technically create a lookalike audience, but as I said, you want to create a custom audience first and then a lookalike off of that. All right. So best lookalike audiences. Now, so what are the best lookalike audiences? Although I would love to give you a definitive answer, the truth is there really is no best lookalike audience. After you watch the module, How Facebook Works on the Inside, you will understand why and understand the lack of consistency that audiences will give you. Now, there's a fair amount of randomness involved in results, as there is with pretty much everything. So with that being said, we do have some key pointers. We found more success with lookalike audiences close to the source. Duh, no shit, but still, nonetheless, what this means is, for example, from 0 to 3%, that's going to be a lot closer to the source than, to 10%. We also, for the most part at our agency, only use audiences that are 1% in size, although we would increase this if the population of the country we are advertising in is smaller. So for example, we've had a very, very, very big spend client in Sweden before, which is a relatively, I wouldn't say small country, but it's considering the amount we were spending, between 10 and 15,000 a day. For a country that size, it's quite a large budget. So in that case, in the lookalikes, we actually used and kind of went up to 2 and 3% audience sizes. Now, with the sources, it really is a trial and error thing. As I said, we've tested all of it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But because the campaign structure we've taught you guys, this is an issue, as the underperforming ones you cut short, and you let the winners ride. Now, really, this should be a trading strategy. You open a long and a short, and whatever is working best for you, you let it ride and kill the others. It probably actually is already a trading strategy, but you get my point here. So how do we use lookalike audiences in our strategy? Now, similar to the strategies explained in the last couple of modules, in order to determine which one is the best lookalike audiences, you have to test them separately. It's the key word there, separately. All right. Now, sometimes we will combine them, but only if they've been proven to be winners in the past. And that's really the key here when it comes to targeting is you can bundle interests. All right. And I hope, in one of the last modules, I made it seem like you couldn't. You can bundle interests. It's just once you know that they're winners. Once you know they're winners, you can actually bundle them up. And same thing with lookalike audiences. You can test them separately and then bundle them at a later time once you know they're winners. Now, another strategy that's worked well for us with very high ad spends is adding a lot of consecutive lookalikes from 2 different sources into a CBO campaign. So what we do here is we put very high budgets on the campaign, let's say for example $300, and let it ride. Now, we don't usually kill the losers in the CBOs because based on many tests, whenever you turn off ad sets inside CBOs, the campaigns get affected and either perform worse or just stop performing altogether. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of action items for today, I want you to create lookalike audiences from the audiences you created on the last module. Now, you can choose your countries based on wherever you want to advertise. If you don't want to use US and UK as a base, now, as I said, these are the best performing countries for most of our clients at least. And as I said, these are the percentages you have to use. So do this with 2 sources, and if you're able to test it and post your results in the community, that'll be amazing as well. These results should be compared with other campaigns you already have running. So ladies and gentlemen, relatively short module today. That was lookalike audiences for you, cleared up. That was a little bit about how we use them as a strategy for our clients and pretty much everything in between. So I hope you guys enjoyed this module, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.